I'm showing you this document. I showed it earlier for differentiation, but um, this was a huge. This this was a project-based learning, a differentiated learning ecosystem for my specific Math 8 classrooms at Burnaby North Secondary, and the reason I'm highlighting this as part of collaboration is the fact that this project started my one of my first terms of the MET program through a conversation between me and a my department head for mathematics. And at that time, I actually wasn't really teaching mathematics. I was actually working with him in a supportive role, in a learning supportive role, imagining that I was helping him kind of with some struggling learners. And part of the conversation, part of what came from this project and this collaborative project is him and I initially discussed the possibility of creating a framework, um, like a technology assisted framework, but that would have it so that students weren't separated and streamed into different environments. Because um, in a classroom of 30, often either high achieving or any student really, there was a there's a difficulty to differentiate. So technology is always used as this adaptive feature. So we started off and we brainstormed an idea, and he basically, him and I, basically started the original diagrams um, of this framework, which is kind of sort of like around here, so but it's been modified. So that's from teacher in here, and then we got to the point where I was in 510 and I had an opportunity to actually build it. So I was planning on building this somehow throughout through like after I graduated. But I had the opportunity to work with some amazing folks. Um, here it's Kim Ducharme, who works out of Boston and does instructional design. Bryn Hamlet is a science teacher as well, and same with Kenny. They're both science math teachers. And Chelsea Ross, who's an elementary school teacher in the interior. And what happened was through that collaboration and really problem solving around a project, um, it kind of took on a life of its own, and everybody kind of brought on their different expertise to imagine everything differently. It was kind of the first time I've ever in my life that I've ever kind of been in a project management role. It wasn't a leadership position, but I was kind of facilitating everything. So that learning was really was really interesting for me. And what was also interesting is this idea of simply differentiating the learning kind of made us examine how, like, our practice in general, how we're marking, how we're uh, looking towards the learning outcomes, how we're the order of what we're doing anything. So by deconstructing the possibilities that the technology provided, we were forced to kind of have this reflective mirror about how we're engaging with both content and pedagogy. So in a way, um, I got to revisit my readings from 511 on TPAC, technology and and pedagogical content knowledge. So um, I think that was it was a real practical implementation of that. And part of what I'm excited about is the idea that not only is this going to be in place in 8 classrooms, but also because it's focusing on game design and project design from the students, the the kids are creating content for future students. So it's not really just about collaboration between teachers. It's still a living entity that, and teacher or student learners are part of that collaborative process where they're actually doing, in a way, content design for different generations. So I'm really excited to see how it unfolds. I don't really have a I don't really have any evaluation to share because it hasn't been implemented until next year. But I'm excited to see what it results.